I'm Victoria Olson, the Hill County Detention Center Facility Administrator. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what correction officers do. So here at the Detention Center, our correction officers are in charge of enforcing the rules of our facility. They supervise the activities of inmates. We do searches of the inmates for contraband. We also inspect the conditions of the facility and ensure that the inmates are safe in our detention officers. They also aid in the rehabilitation of the inmates, and on occasion they are counselors to the offenders when they need us to be. We're also in charge of reporting on inmate conduct, and we will make reports to probation and parole, city judge, justice court judge, the state prison, whoever we have requests from. Typical day of a corrections officer here. So then they would debrief with the shift prior, let them know what was going on in the facility, if there are any issues we need to deal with or things that we need to watch for. Then they would go ahead and start their shift, which includes making their rounds, making sure all the inmates are here, accounted for, safe. Then you go straight into meals, distributing the meals to all the different pods we have. We can house 79 inmates, both females and males. Privileges. Then their privileges are turned on, which is television, phones, those things. And then the officers would escort each pod to recreation. We have an indoor rec. They can play basketball, handball. We also have a library that they can do that during their recreation time. Each pod is taken separately to the different programs. Also, we have different programs for rehabilitation purposes. AA comes in. We also have several different churches that'll come into the facility and provide services. We also have counselors that come in several times a week for CD counseling and just individual counseling for mental health. We also offer commissary as a privilege. The inmates can have money brought in for them, and then they are able to select several items from our commissary. Our correction officers, to ensure that our inmates are safe, like I said, they make their rounds. Checks are done every half hour to hour, checking the cells, making sure the inmates are there, that they haven't harmed themselves or others. They also will observe behaviors. If there's a change in behavior, monitor that. We have logs that that they are required to put in anything that they've observed, other different activities. Correction officers will put whatever activities they've done throughout the day. Okay, so family members and friends are able to come into the facility, and they would go up to our dispatch window, and they can bring in cash and put that on an inmate's books. They would just bring in $20 cash. The dispatcher would then give them a receipt. The $20 then is deposited into the inmate's account, and they are able to use that for phone cards or commissary, whichever they would like. Yes, they can distribute any amount they want to bring in as long as it is cash. We only receive cash on those. No checks, no debit cards, sorry. When a family member or friend comes in to distribute money, they just bring it in, and the dispatcher will write a receipt for them stating how much that they deposited to whichever inmate and which family member friend deposited it, and they get a receipt for that. So how our inmate visiting goes is our inmate visiting is on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So friends, family members can come to the facility And if you are signing up to visit a female, sign-ups are between 2:30 and 3:30. You would come into the facility, sign in at the dispatch center, and then once sign up is done from 2:30 to 3:30, our visiting for females starts at 3. For males, visiting sign up begins at 3:30 and ends at 4:30, and the visiting itself starts at 4. So then once visiting begins, the detention officers will let them know who is in visiting booth, whichever, 1, 2, 3, and then the family member will go into the booth and pick up the phone, and the timers will start. It's a 20-minute visiting period. So each inmate just has a 20-minute period to visit whichever family members have come up to visit them. So if they're two different parties that want to visit the same inmate, they're going to have to divide that 20 minutes, 10 minutes each visiting time, one time per inmate, one 20-minute section per inmate.